because we have a lot more resources than you do. All the resources that America has are because of imperialism. It's not actually their land. Obviously, Canada's too. Canada's resources are from imperialism, but they're on the land. So much of the US's resources are not on the land. They're other places. They're the result of their imperialism. Yes, America is embracing it more. Canada is not any better. We just are better at hiding it. We do more liberal imperialism, whereas the US is doing more just like strong arm imperialism. Yeah, no, it's not going to happen. There is absolutely zero chance that America is going to do any type of hard kinetic warfare with Canada. Zero chance. They are obviously, it's just Trump art of the deal politics. He's putting his dick on the table, but America, Canada too, but like we could barely do a occupation of Afghanistan. So I'm not really sure if the United States is going to be capable of doing an occupation of the second largest country on earth. And I know people say most of the population lives close to the border. They're not coming for the population. They're coming for the fucking resources. I really think that there's a gigantic amount of kayfabe that's going on here, and a huge amount of what Trump is trying to do is to create a greater cooperation between the economies, to force both economies to work together in ways that they otherwise wouldn't because their profit comes from that border. I really believe that Trump is just trying to embody the moment that capitalism is demanding by making it so that Canada and the US can have greater integrated economies so that they can compete in global capitalism better than they can otherwise. That's the thing though, it will never work that way. Capitalism will not allow that. The market would absolutely tank. There would be so much repercussions to that type of a move that capitalism would just simply not allow it. Capitalism does want people to think that it's going to happen because then it makes the concession to the alternative a lot more palatable. It's just about setting the terms of the negotiation so that the US can get a better deal when there should be no reason for them to have any leverage at all. But instead, what they're doing is they're using the threat of force to have leverage when they don't have any leverage. That's the only leverage that they can have. But that's literally what Trump does. It's his art of the deal, cage fighting politics, cage fighting diplomacy. That's what it is. I think the thing, though, is that Trump needs to have an iron fist domestically. Look what he's done geopolitically. He's taken money away from the ongoing war in Ukraine, which is actually going to prevent more slaughter. He's been removing the money from U.S. aid, these government institutions that are essentially doing NGO type coups in the global south and attempting to have U.S. influence on China and things like that. He completely gutted that. So while he is very obviously right wing in the way that he is dealing with things domestically, what he is doing geopolitically is just embodying a moment that capitalism is demanding, which is trying to integrate the economies greater to make it so that they can compete better in the rise of China, in like the alternative system that is coming with China and BRICS. Yeah, I'm very much aware of the cutting of the social services, but that's domestic. Yeah, but that's like a lot of that is domestic policy stuff where it's meant to create the veneer of being like a strong man, but at the same time creating the conditions to make it so that America has a longer runway in the terms of global capitalism, because the way that it was operating before under the liberal imperialist order of like Biden and Obama, it was not sustainable because so much of the economy depended on that money, and that money was just sucking the US dry. And so what's happening is that Trump is trying to set it up so that the US can compete in global capitalism in ways that they couldn't before, because before it was under this liberal imperialist order that was using all of its money to influence the rest of the world. But now they're trying to do this soft imperialism in Mexico, here in Canada, in Greenland, right? It's this domestic regional imperialism. But what's happening is that it's just contracting. The empire is contracting. And it's because that is what's needed for America to survive. If America was still going to attempt to do the old liberal imperialism, it would have collapsed a lot quicker. Trump is just doing the thing that America needed, which is to start retracting. Yeah, is essentially it. But the thing about that is that those people sell off everything for the cheap afterwards to the highest bidder. And as time goes on, the highest bidder is no longer American capital. It's foreign capital. And the more and more that happens, the more and more it's China. Neoliberalism just ends up falling into the hands of the developmentalist capitalism because the only thing that the capitalists care about is profit. The developmentalist capitalists, they care more about having beneficial relationships for the means of maintaining control over their markets, which is what we're seeing. Yeah, I also think that Kamala Harris was just not the candidate. I bet Biden would have beat Harris. Like as far as performance against Trump. You can't run someone who doesn't win a primary. The whole point of having primaries is to make it so that your candidate has enough support to make it in a one-on-one against the other candidate. And they never did that. So of course she lost. And I'll be honest, I was fooled. I was very much fooled. I thought for sure because of the last minute switch out that Kamala was going to win. But yeah, the two-party system nullifies that type of thing because of they need the change vote effect. If you want to split hairs, the Republicans are the left party. The Democrats were never actually the left party. They were the liberal establishment party. But who freed the slaves? Obviously, they didn't fight that war to free the slaves per se. But like, if you look in like Ireland, the Republicans are the left. I know the side switched. Obviously, I know that the side switched. But if you look at like the fundamental understanding of what actually, there is no progress. The Democrats are literally the slave owners. That's what they are. They are the slave owner class. That's historically what they are. And obviously, because of the way that it worked, 1,000,000% they don't represent that anymore. Although I think that what's going to happen now, and this you're seeing it, and this is what I was just talking about geopolitically on foreign policy, is that I think that any type of true progress that's going to come from America in any type of way on a geopolitical like scale is going to come from the Republicans now, because the Democrats are completely washed. And I'm not saying that it's going to happen because the Republicans want to have progressive policy. I'm saying it's going to happen because they are fucking incompetent and don't know what to do. So it's going to be this unintentional progress over and over again. I think that the Democrats are going to be replaced with a reform party that is going to move one faction towards the center, which will be more like the Liberals here in Canada, and then one faction towards the left, which would be like the NDP. But you would need electoral reform for that to happen, which I was pretty certain that was going to be the case. Like if there was going to be some type of constitutional crisis after the election because of maybe the 269 tie or some type of electoral college issue. But I don't know. America needs electoral reform so badly. Capitalism needs at least people to believe that they're free. Because if you go along too long, the contradictions of that build up. And that's the thing, is that it's like the disgusting irony that capitalism will be the thing that saves us. Because capitalism needs stable markets. And that's not to say that we're going to have democracy. It's just that you need that veneer of democracy. You need to have that, or you risk creating social instability that is not, you can't get the genie back in the bottle after that. It's gone. Right? Yeah. Canada's veneer is gone too, but the thing is that it's going to crack away, which will be this, like the thing about Quebec. Canada is going to crack away in the same way that America is going to. But our contradictions aren't the same as yours. We have cultural contradictions that are very different. I think we're going to end up what is called developmentalist capitalism, which is going to be like America transitioning to be a third world country, which is like Mexico and Brazil. Former third world, I will say, because both of those countries are developing now. We're going to see America retrograde into a third world economy, which is going to it's going to be like a second wave industrialized economy. That's the thing though. This is the thing that I'm talking about. If you leave to Mexico or Canada, that's the way that it's going to be set up. It's going to be set up to make it so that the people who have the money to leave will. And so that will benefit Canada. It will benefit Mexico. If you come here, your dollar is worth more, and we'll welcome you to come here. And now we just incentivize the market for you to come here. And that's what I'm saying Trump is doing, is to make it so that process that you're talking about is going to be doable and not, oh, you can't move here because you're not a citizen. There's no way to move here, blah, blah, blah. They're going to make it so that you can come here and we can extract your wealth, or that I can go to Mexico and Mexico can extract my wealth. That's because as it is right now, you can't do that. Like you can, but there's all these barriers to it. But what Trump is trying to create, and not because he's smart, but because he knows that's what the market is demanding, he's trying to pull on all these levers to get that economy where upper middle class people who have the ability to go and take their money and go somewhere where they deem to be safer can. And then Mexicans and people who are living precariously can go to the United States and live in a way that is deemed legal under a status where they can be exploited in a way that they weren't able to be before because there was no incentive for them to go there. I don't think you're alone in that sentiment, and there's a lot of demand for that right now.